Okay, we're up to Daf Yomi base. We're 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines up from the bottom. But I feel like I'm a little bit about Chayv in the previous sugya that we went through very quickly. And Sully Bornstein reminded me of a run that we went through in the Durham, which we found very fascinating. So we were going through the sugya of Naslahu, where he went ahead and gives the money, Va'amra he, and she says, I am a Kudeshes to you. So why doesn't it work? L'chara Naslahu is correct. It's ish kiyikach. So Rashi brings the reason when it says Va'amra he is that sikach ishal ish. It's similar to she being taken by the she giving us, she taking the man by her saying that she is being mukadesh to him. It's like it has to be kiyikach where he does it. It can't be kisilakach where she goes ahead and takes the man. So we saw a ran in Nidarim that said a very fascinating thing, and I think it's important because the whole idea of Kidushin is contingent upon it. In every transaction, there's a kaina, the one acquiring, and the makna, the one giving over the skyra. So when you go to a store, so you're the kaina, you're acquiring whatever you buy, and the store owner is the makna. He's going to be makna to you. Good. By a halva, we view the malva as the makna, and the lova, the borrower, as the one that is the kona. So in the relationship between ish and isha, it's the man being kona, the woman, the man is acquiring the woman, and the woman is makna herself for the Kidushin. So the question is, if you view Kidushin in that manner, why don't you view every Kidushin as a problem of kisilakach, of her giving herself to the man? You go ahead and purchase something. So I'm selling something to Kenny. So we have two das. We have the das of me going ahead and selling it to Kenny, being maknet to him, and Kenny buying it. So by an isha, by Kidushin, if she has das, if she's going ahead and being makna herself to him, why does every Kidushin not have a problem of kisilakach, of her going ahead and being part of the process? You need kiyikach. You need that the man does everything. You need kiyikach, that the man does everything, and not the fact that the woman is part of the process. So we saw a ran in the Daf Daf Lamed, very good, tremendous chiddush, but it made a lot of sense, and it was based upon this Gemara. The ran says when a woman gets married, she's passive. She is mafka herself, kiyachol, kaviyachol. She says that you're making a kinyan, and anytime a person's kind of something from hefker, so it's only one das. You have the person acquiring it. The person is the kona, and there is no makna. So by an isha, said the Ran, viewed by Kidushin as the woman allowing herself to be what? To be acquired by a man, but passively. Because if she would be makna herself to the man, you'd have the same problem as we have over here of nasan hu va'amra hi. It wouldn't be ki yikach, it would be ki silokech. Right? And that's what the Ran said in the Masech and the Dharam. I looked it up in my Ran, I had it highlighted. Of course, I forgot it, but I wanted to share that with you. I thought it's a very beautiful way to view Kidushin. Because again, Kaina umakna, you can always have that problem if it has to be that the man kiyikach, the stress on the man. If you're going to have her going ahead and being part of the process, giving herself over, there's a sorn of kiyikach. It's kisilakech.
Laser, I actually asked Rav Nachum a question 50 years ago on this run. How can you have a havamina that chalipin should work? Chalipin, you definitely need two das, one from each side. They both have to do an action. So how can you have a havamina according to the Ran Shita on Ishus?
So what did he answer you?
He didn't.
He said it's a good kasha?
Yeah.
It happens to be a good kasha. May, it's like the first time ever I was happy you disturbed me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then now going back to being passive, okay?
Okay.
Okay, anyway. Guys, remember we had a sugya in the Dharma of Yadais, a yad. In other words, usually a person expresses, yafli linda neder, it's expressive. But we learned that in the Dharma, there's a parsha of Yadais, a yad. What's a yad? You hold on to the handle of a kli and the rest gets schlepped along. So the Gemara had a shaila yesh yad l'kedushin or ein yad l'kedushin, and we made a chiluk between yadayim mochichos or yadayim ein mochichos, where the yad has a chacha that it shows what it's, or it's a little clear, or it's not so clear. So that's nagei the sugya we're about to do this. So lines like Oshmo, Kidushin. What's Kidushin? What's the Kidushin by kesef? Nasan lo kesef v'shava kesef. You either give kesef or shava kesef. V'amar Allah, and you say to her, Hariyat mekudeshes. What are you missing, guys? You're missing one word, correct? Hariyat mekudeshes. You're missing the word li, right? You're missing the word li. Hariyat mureses. Hariyat li into. And again, you don't have the word what? Li. So this is a yad because it's not clear to who. Harizu mekudeshes. L'chayra is mekudeshes. So l'chayra, you can prove from here that Shmuel would hold Yadayim she'enu mochichos, a yad that's not clear, have a yadayim, because despite the fact that you're not saying li, nonetheless you're engaged, or you're married. However, if he says Hareini isheich, I am your husband, Hareini baalech, I am your baal, Hareini aruseich, I am your betrothed, ein kan beis mechush. Over here, then there is no Kidushin. There's no beis mechush. There's no even consideration of it. There's nothing whatsoever to talk about. Why? Because over here it's not kiyikach. It has to be that he takes her, and not that what he takes himself. If he says to her, "I am your husband," he's taking himself. Kiyikach, he has to take her. If he says, "I'm your husband," he's taking himself. So that's kiyikach asatzmai. V'chein b'gerishin, the same concept would apply by gerishin. Nasan la v'amala hariyat mishuleches. It doesn't say li. Hariyat mugureshes doesn't say li. Hayat Muteres does not say li l'chaladam. Harizu Muguresha, she's divorced. However, he says, Eini Sheikh, I'm not your husband. Eini Bailech, I'm not your Baal. Eini Arusa Seich, Ein Kan Beis Mechush, again, you no Beis Mechush. There's in other words, they're still married. Amalei Rapapal Abaya, Lememra, when Shmuel says in the first case, the Chayra, and in the second case, Hariyat Mukudeshes or Hariyat Mugureshes, you don't see the word li, that's Kesav Shmuel, that Shmuel's of the opinion. Yadayim she'em achichas have yadayim. Yadayim that are not so clear is have yadayim. V'tanan ha'omer aha, I am, right? Harizeh nazir. V'avina ba v'dilma aha b'tainis, I should be. Aha, I should be. I am, not I am, I should be. Maybe aha b'tainis, right? Ka'amar v'amar Shmuel v'hu sheha yinazir over lefanov, right? The reason when you say aha, I shall be, and your nazir is passing in front of you, which would make it, fellas, what? A yad mochiach, correct? Which would make it a yad mochiach. Says the Gemara, time of the nazir v'lefanov. The reason why he's a nazir, because there's a nazir passing in front of him. If not so, right? Loi. So what do you see? Yadayim shem mochichas loi havi yadayim. So why does he say Hariyat mekudeshes? Why are you engaged? Why are you married? After the Gemara hacham damali. He said Hariyat mekudeshes li, Hariyat mureses li, Hariyat li. He said li. So, if that's the case, what's the chiddush? If that's the case, you might come ashmalam. What are you teaching me? If you said the word li, you said a full lashon of kedushin. What's the chiddush? Says Gemara, hani lishni basoy kamashmalan. The chiddush is not in Hariyat mukudeshes li, Hariyat migureshes li. The chiddush is in the second part that I am your husband. Ani balech, right? I am your husband, or I am not your husband. In the case of kikachas atzma, that's the chiddush. Hacha kesiv, by Kidushin it says kikach lo shikachas atzma, kikachas isha, you are mekudeshes to me, and not that I'm mekudeshes to you. Kikach hariyat mekudeshes li, you are mekudeshes to me. Now I am mekudeshes to you. He's taking himself. V'hacha, and by gerishin kesiv the shilcha. He'll send her away. He'll send her away. Shmuel holds yadayim shem achichas loy have yadayim. And the case over here is we said the expression of mekudeshes li, and the chiddush is the sefer where what to teach me the halacha that a man cannot go ahead and marry himself off to a woman. He has to marry the woman to himself. A man can't go ahead and be megarish himself from the woman. He has to be megarish the woman from him. I think it's pretty clear. Okay, the shyness of Kidushin. The shyness of Kidushin. This is what my Rosh Hashiva brought in the other day as a kasha. If you're going to think that you have to say every single lashon of Kedushin, like you have to say Hariyat Mukudeshesli, Hariyat Muresesli, Hariyat Levintu, then you'd have to say L'chayra all these l'shyness also. It has to be all comprehensive. Eli, what do you, that Rosh Hashiva was chadir? that le'inyan the Pa'ula, there's three dins. There's Kinyan, there's Isser, and there's the Mechedes Leish. And the Chiddush is that the pool is accomplished by one lashon. Okay, some of the lashonis that we're going to describe. What is says the Gemara? Hariat ishti. You are my wife. Hariat avusasi. Hariat knuyoli. You are acquired by me. So all these mikudeshes, lashon of kedushin. Hariat sheli, you're mine. Hariat b'rishusi, you're in my jurisdiction. Hariat zekukali, you are zakuk to me. Then mikudeshes. So now you have three lashonis, six lashonis, 3 and 3. You interrupted the 6 lashonis by saying mikudeshes in the middle. L'chayri, you should have stated all 6 and just the mikudeshes at the end of all 6, not rather to interject in the middle of 3 mikudeshes. List them out all as one. And if the Gemara tana tlas tlashaminum v'gasina. In other words, he was listing them as he learned them. So he learned firstly lashonis ishti risasi knuya. He put down mikudeshes, and then he heard rishasi zakukali and rusasi shali rishusi kusasi, and he wrote it down. Iboilahu. But question on the following lashonis of kedushin: miyuchedesli, you are miyuched to me. Now these are all based upon a pasuk in the Torah. Let's do it with Rashi. Third line down. Keep your finger on Rashi. We'll do it together. Iboilu miyuchedesli loshin v'hayu lebasar echad. So miyuchedes loshin v'hayu, and they would be lebasar echad as one. Miyuchedes. Echad, the lashon of one. We are as one. That's the lashon where Kodesh Baruch Hu says, "Al ken yazav next, miyuedesli. Where do you see the lashon miyuedes in the Torah? It says by the Omer of Riyam Pashas Mishpatim Asher Lo Ya'oda. There's a concept of a man marrying his daughter when she's a katana, and the owner or his son goes ahead and marries her. That's called yiyud, and there's those need for new kesef kedushin. The kesef of the mechira will be kesef kedushin. Next. Mahu, as Rasi Mahu, you are my Ezer, like Lashon Ezer Kenegdai. Right, that you are my Ezer. So again, that's from the Lashon of the pasuk. Like Toivleheya Sudden Ladai Esley as a Kenegdai. As Rasi, you are my Ezer Mahu. Negdasi is Lashon, you are Ezer Kenegdai. You're the Negdai Mahu. Atsurasi, it's a Lashon that you should be gathered into my house. You should be gathered into my house. Machlokes Rashi and Tosfos, if there's a pasuk or not. Rashi seems to say not. Tosfos seems to say yes. Salasi, you are my tzela, my rib. Right? He took part of his rib away. Mahu. Atsugurasi, again, that this is also lashon of kedushin, perhaps because it said that he closed, because Baruch took a tzela, and Yiskar came as a tzela, he went ahead and he closed the tzela. So let me know, Suguri, Tachtoi. And he closed it underneath him, right? He closed the basa that underneath him. So again, question: since these all have shaykhs lashon of kedushin, what's the din? To fusasi, it's a lashon that you should be what tfusimi and bias. Mahu, what's the din? Lukuchasi, what's the din? Pashem yachad, and all these questions we don't answer except one of them. The Tanya, a person says, "At lukuchasi, you are lukuchasi, might bring tarism lukudeshes mishum shnemar ki kachish isha." It will be lashon of what of ishus. What about lashon charufa? We know that a man who marries a Amevriya who's engaged to a chatzi eved chatzi baschayrin, and someone's mizanim with her, you're being an asham shifcha charufa. So you see, the lashon charufa means she was engaged to a man. Again, she's half and half. She's engaged to an Eved Kanani, Eved Ivri. Excuse me, Eved Ivri. Says the Gemara, "Boilahu charufasi mahu tashma detanya oima charufasi shekam beYehuda koirin larusa charufa." If someone says the lashon of charufasi, it's a good lashon of kedushin, right? Why? Because in Yehuda we know there's 2 areas: Yehuda and the Galil. In Eretz Yisrael, Galil. What's then in Yehuda they would call an arusa, an engaged woman, they would call a charufa. Why? Yehuda Alma. Just because in that place they call charufasi, they call it Kidushin. Is that a ruba da alma that we should say that they're married? Hachi kama. Taka the pasuk is the lashon of Kidushin, as we see by the chatzi eved chatzi baschayrin engaged to a man. Okay, so she's engaged. She's engaged. So we see this lashon of Kidushin. V'oid, in addition to that, be Yehuda koirin larusa charufa. Yehuda v'oid l'kra. If you're saying, in other words, v'oid, In other words, you said the pasuk for Oid, and guess what? And even more so in Yehuda, it's the opposite, guys. The pasuk is the major, and Yehuda is the minor. But the way you're stating it is what? Is that Yehuda? Guess what? There's a pasuk, and in addition to the pasuk, they call it in Yehuda. Mashma that Yehuda is the main thing. Ella affecting more. Ella, here's pshat. Hachi kamar. Hoime charufa be Yehuda. If someone's charuf in Yehuda mikudeshes, why? She came be Yehuda korin larusa charufa, right? Because in Yehuda they call larusa charufa. Okay, so now, but my asking, what are we dealing with over here? In other words, you're telling me what exactly what's the case over here? What exactly are we dealing with over here? All the lashonis that we said before, right? All of the lashonis that we had a Shiloh was a Kidushin or Gerushin. Rashi's saying the Shiloh was those Shilohs that we said above, where Shayach to Lashon Kidushin, Lashon Gerushin. What are we dealing with over here? So this is a throwback question. The question is going back on what we said before. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says, "B'mayaskinan b'hanach lishnei dekom boiloi yavi Kidushin oiloi hekidami." Right? If they weren't speaking about it at all, aliske kedushin, they weren't discussing marriage at all. In addition to the shyness of gerushin, you weren't speaking. So we were going back to the amid base at the bottom over there, right? We want to know if those are the shyness or lashon kedushin or lashon erison. And we said they're mikudeshes, so we said that they're divorced, right? We said the shyness help. We want to know, we want to qualify that. We want to qualify that. Those are the shyness that you wanted to say that clearly they're married, they're married or divorced, right? We want to say, what exactly are we speaking about over there? What exactly are we speaking about over here where does the shyness help? Good? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you. Let's see. Ilema b'shem medabrima. You know, as you just said, Lashinus. He wasn't speaking about Liske Gita before Gerushin, Ukudush Sehab, or before Kedushin. How can does the Lashinus help? Mino Yoda, my Kamale. Why do you know what? How do the woman know that he was speaking to her, to Mekadesh her, if you weren't speaking about it? He didn't say you are Mekudeshes to me. He said, Hayam Mekudeshes. To who? I mean, what? The Ella, no, that wasn't, I'm talking about the different Lashinus. We're not talking about like the different Lashinus that we used. L'shonis that are vague. So we know Yoda, my Kamalai. Ve'ela v'midaber ima al iske gita v'yukideh. He must be speaking about that. So now, if they were speaking about that, afagav lo yamala, if he wouldn't say anything, that's right. Doesn't say anything about kedushin or gerushin. He was just speaking about the concept of kedushin, the concept of gerushin, and he would give her a get or money. You'd be engaged or you'd be divorced. If a person speaking to a woman regarding getting kedushin, right? Or he gives her a get or kesef kedushin, and he doesn't explain the time he gave it to her. It's enough. The fact that we speak to her about it, she'll be mekudeshes or she'll be megureshes. She'd have to say at the time of the nesina that what exactly that you're marrying her or divorcing her. Says, no one wants to know Memanashach. If you were speaking about it, even if you didn't use any lashon, and if you weren't speaking about it, then the lashon that you use should not be helpful. So what exactly is the case? So Amri la'olam midabrim.Tak is speaking about it. Aliske gita v'kushaseha. If you gave it to Bas Nesina, hachanami should be mekudeshes. Hachamayaskin in the yavla, he gave it to her. V'amala b'hani lishnei v'hachikami boyoi. Hani lishnei the kedushin kamalei, and she's in the kudeshes. Idilma. Maybe those are the shyness, the malacha kamala. Maybe he's speaking about malacha. And those the shyness can make it worse. Since those the shyness are not so clear, maybe he means let's say yom yuchedes, right? Maybe yom yuched for working for me. How do you know that? Sometimes saying too much is worse, guys. In other words, had he gone ahead and spoke about kedushin, and he wouldn't have said anything and given it to her, she'd be married. He gave it and said miyuchedes. So now Ken Zayin that even though they were speaking about kedushin beforehand, the lashon of miyuchedes means miyuched malacha. So his saying made it worse, and that's the chiddush over here. So the Gemara is the chiddush over here that we say no, it means kedushin. Kufa, ima He doesn't explain it at the time he gave it to her. It's enough. Just this fact of speaking about it. You have to go ahead and explain. They must have been, they were going ahead and be oisik in that inyan. When Rabbi spoke about that he's speaking about this, it must be that he was oisik in the inyan of Kidushin. They were being oisik in that inyan. It wasn't talking about it, they were oisik in it. It says Gemara Kitanoi, it's Machlekes Tanoim. Rabbi Yomer, then it helps, even though he doesn't explain at the time of the Nesina. So the oisik boisa inyan, they're dealing with matters of kedushin. The guy is he's I don't know, he works for a society that deals with kedushin. They're busy with it the whole time, and therefore he goes ahead and gives them money. So if he doesn't say, then it helps. So would help. Boisa inyan. If you afraid more, I have to keep on going. I have to keep on going.
Go ahead. Okay.
If you love that sukim boisa inyan, if not, they were oisik in that inyan and told in a sina min yoda. How should we know? My kamala. No, it's just if they're not oisik inyan, how like Rabbi Shimon, all of a sudden a man comes out of the blue and gives them money and says mikudeshes. What's going on over here? How would she know my kamala? So Rabbiya me inyan inyan ba'isay inyan. So in other words, they were speaking about it. They were speaking about it, and they were speaking about zivugim. They were speaking about shidduchim, and then he gave her the money. Right, then she gave him money, and Rabbi Elazar holds in that case, since the lashon he used could be helpful, right? She's masking to it, and Rabbi holds since before the Nesina they weren't baked. There was, in other words, is it enough to be oisik boisa and you have to be more specific? Let's say you're working for a society that just deals with kedushin, or is that enough? Or no, you have to be more specific. Like Rebbe, you have to be more specific. Like Shimon ben Elazar, it would be enough to be even more vague as long as you're being oisik in oisik inyan. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Lach Rabbi Yosi, the Lach is like Rabbi Yosi, right? In other words, that if you oisik boisei inyan and you give him money, you're mikudeshes. Amar Rabbi Yemel Rabbi Ashi, Ve'elhodam Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Kol Sheni Yodeya B'Tiv Gittin D'K'Shaseha. Anyone who doesn't know Hilchas Gittin D'K'Shaseha, Lahela Eisek, come on, you're a dayan, and you don't know, you're not an expert in Gittin and Kedushin. You have no right being involved in this because the Chalila Chas V'Shalom, you could be go ahead and be matter and erva. Says the Gemara, even afilu Eloi Shemiale Chad Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel, even if you didn't hear the halacha like Huna said in the name of Shmuel that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, that speaking about it, this says, Amalei Einachinami. So he said Einachinami that, in other words, if you didn't hear, according to Rav Huna and Shmuel, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, right? Nonetheless, you would still have no right to be speaking about it because you have no right to be involved in something you have no right being involved in. So Amalei Rav Ashi said Einachinami. If you don't know this din, it's considered what, it's meaning, even, let's say you're an expert in Kidushin and Gittin, but you don't know this specific din. Are you considered a non-expert? I know I'm an expert in names. I know names, right? I know every single name. I know the halachas of Gittin code. I know Kidushin halacha. I know the Lashonis, but I don't know the halacha that if you oisik boisa inyan, right, and you don't say anything, if you don't know that, you're not considered an expert and have no right being involved in Gittin Kedushin. Let's see one more time. Even if you didn't hear the halacha that Shmuel said, that halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, are you considered, you should not have nothing to do with Gittin. So Amalei, Rav Ashi said, Einachinami, it's true, Einachinami. The Chaim Begerishin, right? Rabbi Shmuel said before, Nasan Lagita, you give a get for Amala Hariyatmu Shalachas, you're sent away from me. I don't say Li, Hariyatmu Goreshes, Hariyatmu Teres L'Chaladam, Harihimu Goreshes, Shita, L'Charetz Pashet. Says, what's the Kiddush? Nasan Lagita, if you give the get for Amala Yishtoi, Hariyat Baschayrin. You give her a get and you tell the woman, in the get it says you are a free woman, I'm a base. We had this Gemara, guys, if it sounds familiar, we had it at the end of Gittin, that you are a baschayrin. She was always a baschayrin. A Jewish woman is a baschayrin. Baschayrin is a lashon of what? Of avdus, where you go ahead and free an eved. By saying that you are baschayrin does not free her. She should still be married to you. If you say to your shivcha, Hayat muteres l'chaladam, you are mutter to anybody. Lo yamav leklum, you didn't say anything. Amalek, why? Because it's not true. In other words, it's that you have to free her. Being mutter l'adam is not true. You're not mutter to everybody. Amalek lishtei hariyat latzmeich. You say to a woman, you are to yourself. Mahu, what's the din? Mi amrinan, right? Mi amrinan l'malacha kamala. Hariyat atzmeich, that you can keep your money. Aydil malagami kamala, meaning you're totally free. So I'm going to reveal Ravashi, Tashma, the Tanya. Gufa shall get shikra. What's the gufa to get shikra? Hariyat ben chayrin. The typhus of the get shikra is that you are a free person. Hariyat latzmeich, you are to yourself. Now, so we see Hariyat latzmeich could free a shivcha. Hariyat latzmeich could free a shivcha. Now, hashta uma eved. I mean, the shiva uma eved kanani. Uma eved kanani. The koni le gufe. You own him physically. Ki amalei hari atal atzmeich, you are to yourself. Legami, kamar means you're totally free. Ishad lekanele gufe, a woman that you do not own her. She's kinyan kasbu avi, but you don't own her. Loi kol shekin, that lahariat atzmeich should be free. So lechayri is a good lashon of gerushin. I don't have any asik for you. What's the din? I'm totally finished with you. Maybe I have nothing with you, malacha, but I still own you. Some sells the never to a guy. He goes free. You sell the ever to a guy, he goes free, and you're not supposed. You said you're not supposed to sell the never to a guy because you're being mafkirin from mitzvahs. So, but you did add the following: it's Sarach gets shikra from Rabbi Rishon. He needs to get shikra from the one who sold him. When does he need a right to get shikra? If he never wrote an oinai, and the Gemara is going to say what an oinai is in a second. If he wrote an oinai when he sold him to the eved, to the guy, zeu shikra. The oinai is his shikra, and then when he runs away from the guy, he would not require a second get. Now, why did he write in it? Why do you write in the shtar oinai? Ravashi, the kasala geshetirach mimenu, when you run from the guy, ainly asik bach. I have no asik with you. So let's be pushed. The shaila guys saying the lashon ainly asik bach will go ahead and free. That'll be a lashon of freedom. Just give me 2 seconds. I want to say goodbye to my son and do it alone. The next Gemara and the next daf is a month in yeshiva. the next Gemara and the next daf is a month in yeshiva. It's conceptually difficult, and I'm going to do the best I can. So sometimes we forward the information beforehand, and it's very helpful. And the sugi we're doing is called being mekadesh b'milva. If a person's mekadesh b'milva, eina mikudeshes. What does it exactly mean mekadesh b'milva? What does that mean? So if I go ahead and a woman owes me $100. I gave her $100. I gave her $100 on April 1st. And on April 1st, I tell you, you know that money I gave you? That money is kesef Kidushin. And the answer is, you are not married. If, however, you would say to her, I'm moichel that $100 that I gave you, you would be married. You would be married. What's the difference? So let's see the lashon of the Ritva. Beautiful lashon of the Ritva. We'll put it on the screen. Amar Abaya, Hamakadesh b'milva eina mekudeshes. Ika hapirish is Hamakadesh b'gufa shel milva. You're mekadesh with the money itself, the $100 I gave her. Sha'amala hariyat mekudeshes li b'milva sha'at chayeves li. You are mekadesh with the money that you owe me. As opposed to where you moichel the halva or even part of the halva. You're mekudeshes to me with the hana that I'm moichel that, then shehi mekudeshes. So it's a dakastik achilik. If you go ahead and want to go ahead and say I'm married, I'm being mekadesh you with the money I gave you, it's not a kedushin. But if you're moichel the money I gave you, then it is a kedushin. Kivin shana zu shava pruta. Since the hana that your moichel is worth a shava pruta, the hana mikol makam cheshuva kekesef. Hana in every place is considered kesef. Uchidamirin gabe arev mishabed bahana. We're going to see in tomorrow's daf that a cosigner is mishabed just for the hana. That the hana. So you see that it's worth it. Kedushin works. The gabe kedushin aminon. Schaik lefanai. If a woman tells you, make jokes in front of me, rachel lefanai, go ahead and dance in front of me. Harizum mikudeshes. Why does she be mikudeshes with? The hana of the jokes and the hana of the dancing. We're going to see it's a Gemara Daf Samech Vav. So you see that the act of, you don't need a tangible hana. It can be a pruta. It can be a hana of a pruta. Just having hana can be mikudeshes. Ubekulun kisham Allah. All of these hariyam mikudeshes li. You have to say you are mikudeshes to me bahanos kach v'kach. Again, she's kind of giving the money, and you're going ahead and you have to say lashon. You need the amira of his kedushin. The yesh banash of a pruta. So all of these we see that right? All of these we see that you could be mekadesh with hana. So the question is, so what's wrong with mekadesh b'milva? Why, when a person is mekadesh b'milva, is zayin mikudeshes? Elahacha shekitcha beguf hamilva. Over here, you didn't go. You use the milva itself. You use the money itself in mikudeshes. Why? Shein daitoi al ella lekatcha beguf hamilva. When I gave that $100 to the woman, I want to be mekadesha with the $100 and not with the fact that she doesn't have to pay back the $100. My mind is on that money, and the kivin the daiti azuze, and since my mind is on the money, mekadesh b'dava she'ena shaloi. You mekadesh with something that doesn't belong to you. You know why? The milva lehoitza nitna. Milva, when you give it over, it's loitza. The ein lemalva by klum, and the person who goes ahead and lends the money does not have any ownership whatsoever. Va'afilu giyas mana piroyim b'shvua. Even it reaches the time where she has to swear to that she doesn't owe you. Even if it was never expended yet, they still have it. Well, Hachi Kamarabaya Milsa Psikta Hamakadesh B'Milva Eina Mikudeshes Afiligi is Mamparunua, but where you have to pay up, you reach the time within 30 days, whatever the Zman that you set, Afiligi Be'en B'Shusa, and even if it's there. So this Ritva speaks out beautifully a vague concept. Let's just go over it and we'll understand it very well. You see the words, I think it's very important. In my scenario, if I gave on April 1st $100 to a person, if she has in her possession that $100 bill that I gave her, the exact same bill, and I say, you're Mekudeshes to me with that bill, she's not Mekudeshes. Do you know why? It's not mine. I don't own it anymore. Milva l'hoitzonenu. The purpose of milva is l'hoitzah, and therefore it's like it's not there anymore. It's hers and it's not mine. So if I'm a kaddish b'milva, I didn't give her anything. I'm a kaddish with something that's not mine. I never gave her anything. Masha'en kain, if I would say that $100 that I gave you, I'm moichel the $100. So my mind is not on what? On the actual milva itself. It's not on the money itself. The money itself is not mine. I'm giving you something now. I'm giving you that you don't have to pay back. And now you're having hana. That hana is worth a shava pruta. Well, in this case, it's worth $100, right? But that hana has value to it. Oh, she's having hana? I don't have to give her anything for hana. For haraya, I can dance in front of her and sing in front of her and do it. Yeah, she'll be happy with that. So you don't need hana mamish. So therefore, if you go ahead and mekadesh with hanas milva, meichel de milva, then it's good Kidushin. Guys, are we good? It's a very nice chilik, but the Ritva speaks to that beautifully. So let's see the Gemara. Again, this you cannot believe how much it's Daf Yomi. You know, it's Daf Yomi. That's what it is. Amar Rabbi, I'm a kaddish b'milva eina mekudeshes. However, behanos milva mekudeshes, right? And the Gemara will describe in a second what hanos milva is. However, also lasses came from the aramis ribis, so it's like a trickery of ribis. What exactly is the case of hanas milva? You tell me it's the case of hanas milva. What exactly is the case of is hanas milva? You tell me that there's hana over here. What exactly is the hana? Went ahead and he lent the money. He said, I'm giving you 4 zuz, and you'll pay me back 5 zuz. And now he's Michael the 5th zuz, and he's Mekadesh over that 5th zuz. First of all, haribis mal yasahi. That's not haramis ribis, guys. That is mamish ribis. That is classic usury. That is classic ribis. And in fact, also, Hainu Milva, you wouldn't be Mekudeshes. Why do we speak out, guys? When you Mekadesh on the money itself. So even if it's ribbis, you don't have that money. It's not yours. So therefore, that can't be the case that she Mekudeshes. Like Tzricha, you know what the case is? The Arvacha lo Zimna. You said, listen, you have X amount of time to pay back. I'm giving you an extension. By giving you the extension, your mind's not on the money, guys, right? Your mind's not on the money. Your mind's not on the money, right? And since your mind is not on the money, it's only on what? On the period of time extension. She would pay money to get it extended, right? How many people would pay money to get an extension on a loan? That's worth value. That she is Mekudeshes. That she is Mekudeshes. Rashi speaks out why it's not a Ramas Ribis, why it's because it's not a double case. We'll avoid that right now with the difficulty in the study, okay? So basically, you have the case of Mekadesh Menulva, Ein Mekudeshes, because it's not yours. Menulva Yitzaninu. Mechila would work. This is the case of Mechila, guys. This is the case of Mechila over here. You're being Meichel the time it's due on the 31st. You're being Meichel, it can be due on the 10 days later. That expansion of time is worth money. You're giving us something. Therefore, you are Mekudeshes. Therefore, you are Mekudeshes. Okay. Says the Gemara Vaita. Amar Rava. A person gives money and says, Hey Lichmana, take this money. Al minas shetachzireu li b'mech. You're going to return it to me. This is my ton al minas lahafzer. Take this money, al minas that you return it to me. Now, so b'mecha, if you're giving the money for a piece of karka that I'm selling to you, I'm selling you a piece of karka and I'm giving you the money and say, I'll ask you to return it to me, you're not going to the karka, right? Because in fact, the koina, right? The moicher did not get any. The makna, this case is the moicher is the makna, did not get anything. So yes, in other words, when you make a kinyan, you need two people to play. It takes two to tango. You need a koina and a makna. So if the koina gives the makna money, Almanas to take it back. So the koina didn't get anything. He has to give it back. So the benecher, it will not be a good sale. Good. The isha with a woman, ain't mekudeshes. Since she has to give it back, it's like she didn't receive anything. The pidyon aben, if you give the kohen the 5 sloyim, almanas to take it back. The pidyon aben is benoi, ain't benoi pada. He's not redeemed because you didn't give the kohen anything. With truma, however, if you give truma, almanas what they get it back. Yotza, you'll be yotzi achiv of the mitzvah of giving truma. However, v'yasa lasses came feshenir kikoyin messiah besagonis. Now, why would the kohen give it to you back? Because he says, you know what? I'm going to do this guy a solid, and in the future, he's going to give me all his truma. So we know that a Gemara in Bechiris tells us that a kohen who is Messiah Besagronis, he goes and helps people by the threshing floor in order to go ahead and facilitate a reyus, the friendship of the people that he should give him the truma. It's frowned upon. You can't do it. So over here as well, you should not go ahead and be makabel matana almanas lahafser, even though you be yotzi chiv truma when you give it back. Right? He be yotze is nesina, he'd get it back because it's going to be like in the future you're going to give him more. So it seems like what that little hanky panky behind the scenes to give this kohen truma. So let's go through it. By mecha it's not a mecha. By mechir it's not a kedushin. By pidyon ben it's not a padoi. But by truma it works. Fred Gemara Akasha. Mike Savarava. Rav who said this in Marasi Hol. Ikasava matana almanas lahachsish ma matana. If he owes a matana on the condition of what? Of getting it back is a good matana. I feel kulinami. Even all of them, mecha, kedushin, pidyon, aben, truma should also be. The ikasava loishme matana. If you say matana after loishme matana, it's not a good matana. I feel b'truma nami loy. Guys, what's the svara over here? Why it shouldn't work? Is you didn't receive anything. If matana almanas hachze loishme matana, so by mecha, you didn't give me anything. By Kidushin, you didn't give me anything. By Bechor, you didn't give me anything. And by Truma, you didn't give me anything. So where's the chilik? And if you hold Shema Matana that you did give me something and you can bring it back, you did give me something and I can bring it back. So the question is what? The question is why is the chilik between the two? All of them should work if it's Shema Matana. So the Gemara wants to know unequivocally across the board. We need to make this distinction between these cases and Truma. So the Gemara is going to answer, in fact, what? In fact, it's not true. You didn't hear the right thing. Says the Gemara, v'oid, another kasha. Rabbi hu Amar, Rav himself said, matana al manas lahachzir, shma matana. A matana al manas lahachzir is a good matana. Dama Rava, heilich esrig zeh al manashe techzirei. Take this esrig on the condition that you return it to me. So not like the person takes it, when he returns it back, yatsa, he's yaitza. Now you have to use your own esrig, correct? Guys, this is always the problem with the cotton in the morning, right? You give the esrig to the cotton, you can give it to him, but he can't give it back to you, right? But if you give it to an adult, he can give it back to you. Now, if the person is makabel, it could be yaitza his chiyuv of dalid minim with this esrig. What must the halacha be? That it's a good matana. Who said this? Rava said it. So we have a problem. Why would Rava hold by all the cases it's not good? If Shmi Matana, it should be a mecha, it should be a good Kidushin, and it should be a good pidyon abed. Because Rava holds that, okay, that's the Gemara's kasha. It says the Gemara, Yatza, Vim Lav, and if he doesn't give it back, Lo Yatza. So we have L'chaira. So what's pshat in Rava's statement? So the answer is that someone did not hear the statement well. El Omer Avashi, Bekula, in all the cases, by mecha, by pidyon abed, by truma, right? Kana by matanal mas lahachzer, levami isha, with the exception of an isha, she's not mekudeshes by matanal manas lahachzer. V'shein isha niklis bechalipin. When you go ahead and give it back, it seems like it's chalipin, and therefore what? Again, what's chalipin? You go ahead, you take the coin. You have the coin over the makna. The coiner gives over to the makna, and the makna gives it back to him. So it seems like a case of like. We had the case of Chalipin on Daf Gimel. Right? We had the case of Chalipin on Daf Gimel. So the keli of the kohen was given to the makna and it's returned. So too over here, the kli is given over, the esrog is given over, the kesef Kidushin is given over, right? He gives kesef and it says, I'm going to ask you to give it back to me. So the kohen is giving the kesef, the man is giving the kesef to the isha, the makna, which is similar to Chalipin. By Chalipin, the kohen gives his kli and gets it back. So Memela says the Gemara, really midin matana should work. But since it's similar to Chalipin, it doesn't work. And we saw earlier in the Masechta that Chalipin doesn't work according to one opinion. According to Rav Huna, it certainly did not work. Schop is koina, Chalipin didn't work. So really it should work. But since it's similar to Chalipin, how is it similar to Chalipin? Because the kohen is giving it to the makna and the makna is giving it back. And just like, so there's the same thing over here. You're giving it over here, and even though he's acquiring it, he's giving it back. It looks like Chalipin, therefore it doesn't work. So this is what Rav Ashi corrected the person who bring it. It's not, this is what Rava said. It's not that it's not Rav Ashi learning Pshat in Rava. He's telling him what Rava said. So Amalei Rav Huna Marbrei Rav Nechem Rav Ashi Hachamina Mishmei the Rava Kavasech. It said in the name of Rava like you. In other words, Rava Taka said this distinction. So it seems over here that it seems over here clearly that in this case you're going to say that Chalipin would not work. If you're Mekadosh with Chalipin, this is similar to Chalipin. It isn't Chalipin because it is a matana. Chalipin is usually facilitated as a kinyan, but this would be this would be a matana. Now there's a very interesting Tosfos over here, fellas. The bottom Tosfos on Vav Amid base. The bottom Tosfos. Levar me'isha lefisheni sheniknas b'chalipin. From Taimar. B'may domu lechalipin. How's it similar to chalipin? Im yishum the chalipin hadrei. If it's because chalipin you get back the kli, the makna gives back the kli to the kaina. Habachalipin gufayu amar bin nedarim the perika shutfin the toughest law matvis. In other words, let's say he would keep it. Let's say you use the kli. I'm going ahead. We're making a kinyan. I'm the koina, I give it to the makna, I give it to... What happens if the makna would keep the kli? It would be good. What happens over here by matana mas lahachzer? If you don't return it, it's no good. So frek tois is a bomb kasha. How can you compare this to Chalipin? Just because by Chalipin you give it back, Chalipin, if you don't give it back, it's still a good kinyan. Over here, if you don't give it back, it's not a matana. So it's really not similar to Chalipin. V'nira l'ri, the lav Chalipin who? It's not Chalipin. Umidrabanan who do they have a Kidushin? And midrabanan, it's not a good Kidushin. Midoraisa matana mas mahakser would be a good Kidushin. The reason it's not is what? Is the Rabbanan. The fisha derech ha'olam lahakser chalipin, right? Because it's the derech of the world to give it back. Bahani kain chalipin damu. Okay, so according to Tosfos, you have a big. In fact, guys, there's a girsa over here. There's a girsa over here. Listen to this girsa from the Ramban. The girsa of the Ramban is very. Ramban Kosel Levar Shekashem Shebechalipin Ein Isha Miskadesh B'Shem Ein Isha Niknes Atzmei B'Hanoshal Kinyan Chalipin Shudav Muid. It's not worth a shava pruta. Kach Ein Isha Maknes Atzmei Tmura Matana Manas Lahachse Shu Anomu Etes. A woman's not going to be makna herself for what? For a matana manas lahachse because she's not getting anything. Women are Torah in Mekudeshes, right? Ach hevi shemixas nischois gerson the Gemara gezeir shem yomu isha niknas bechalipin. Maybe they'll say an isha's niknas chalipin. So it comes out, guys. Tosfos seems to have had a girsa that an isha it's the rabbanon, meaning really a matana manas lahachse fellas should be a good Kidushin. Why? Because she's getting something. At least she's getting some money at this time. The reason you say it's not a good Kidushin was it's similar to Chalipin. It's similar to Chalipin because usually by Chalipin, you give it back. And over here, you give it back as well. By Chalipin, fellas, what? It's less than a Shava Pruta. So therefore, a woman's not nikdas b'Chalipin. And this is similar to Chalipin. Therefore, the Rabbanan, it would not be good Kedushin, but really Midaraisa it would be. Says the Ramban, no. Says the Ramban, it's not good Kedushin. Why? Because since she's giving it back, she's not getting anything. And just like Chalipin, you don't get anything. Over here also, the woman is not getting anything and therefore not be good Kedushin. So again, it's not a dava pasha that a woman is not nikda with in the sugya matana manas lahachzer, whether she's mikudeshes or not. Bez Hashem, tomorrow morning, another very interesting involved sugya. Wishing everyone a good tvach and be well.